The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles returned from their mission. They gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead of them. As Jesus went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord. As you've heard before, when our lectionary was revised in 1970, from a one-year cycle that repeated year after year after year, the same readings on the same Sunday, we moved to a 3-year cycle for our Sunday readings. Year A was based on the Gospel according to Matthew. Year B, we're now that according to Mark. Year C, according to Luke. People often wonder, well, what happens to poor John? Why did we not go with a 4-year cycle? And there are different reasons for this, but the primary reason is that John's Gospel is not a series of short episodes strung together like the other Gospels that can be quite easily divided up week after week. But John's Gospel has many fewer episodes, but they're much longer. And so it was decided that John's Gospel would appear at certain times in the year, during the Lenten season, during the Easter season, because so much of it is more directly related to that than material in the other Gospels. And because Mark's Gospel was the shortest, and there was extra time left over, one of the great teachings that's found in John's Gospel was shifted over to the year of Saint Mark. And we're just about to launch into it. If we were reading what I've just read from Mark, Jesus went ashore. He's trying to get some peace and quiet, and the people aren't going to let him have it. They see him go out in the boat with his disciples, so they reach by land and get there ahead of him. He sees this crowd. He has compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he begins to teach them many things. And then we would read that evening came and they were hungry. And then Jesus worked one of the greatest of his miracles, the only miracle that appears in all 4 Gospels, the multiplication of the loaves and the fish. And in fact, it appears not once in Mark's Gospel, but twice. The same for Matthew, 2 slightly different variations. But instead, what I'm going to read next week is not St. Mark's account of the multiplication of the loaves and the fish, but that from St. John. And the reason is it will then allow us to launch into the beautiful, powerful, but lengthy teaching of John's Gospel on the bread of life. And so it's kind of snuck in there, but I wanted you to know kind of what we are expecting. And it's part of the church's way of helping John's gospel to find its own place. That it's not an also ran, but in a certain sense, in certain times of the year, including the midsummer of the week of Mark, it's a gospel with its own very special place. And rather than just giving bits and pieces of it, the church decides to give over a number of weeks the whole teaching of Jesus on the Eucharist, the bread of life teaching from John chapter 6.